But there's nothing stopping a family from doing today what was normal to do, 3,000 years ago. Um, I have 8 children, 5 of them are daughters. My youngest daughter is 15, my oldest is 23, and all of them live with me except the one that got married. And she didn't move in with her husband until she didn't leave my house until the day she moved in with her husband. So she's 23. She's married. She's in Moscow. She has a beautiful 3-month-old baby boy. She's been married for more than a year, and she's never lived alone, nor did I ever have any reason to have her live alone. She went from her father's house into her husband's house.
Good for you. And I really admire you and what you did for your family. But your daughters never asked for anything else. But what if one of them asks you, can I can I go and live in that city because I want to get higher education? I want to be, I don't know, if a designer, a lawyer, and I won't be a burden for our family. I'll pay my own bills.
Well,
Would you let them?
I started on that a lot younger. So whenever my oldest daughters were about 5 years old, my oldest daughter had seen something on TV and it was fun. It was a cartoon. And then she got a little plastic fireman's hat and she put it on her head and she said, when I grow up, I'm going to be a fireman. And I said, no, you're not. I said, you are going to be a wife and a mother. So God called you, and she's 5, okay? So this is like kindergarten age. And I said, God's called you to something way more important than being a doctor or a lawyer or a fireman or those things. It's necessary for some people to do that, but God has given you something much greater, something bigger, something more important. It's called motherhood. And Russia, I'm going to be very personal and specific. Russia and America are destroying themselves by sending huge quantities, the vast majority of its young girls into the university instead of saying, be fruitful and multiply. Let's populate this nation. Let's raise up godly men and women. You can do great things by teaching English. You can do great things by being a professor. You can do great things by being a doctor. But you can't even come close to the great things that you could do if you'd have about 6 or 8 godly children and spend the next 20 to 30 years of your life pouring yourselves into them, making sure that they know the Bible backwards and forwards, making sure that they not only attend but love the liturgy and know what it's about, and that they love Christ and that they desire to raise up the next godly generation themselves. That and that even the men, that your young boys, they don't want to go get jobs because they want to be great, whatever, doctors, lawyers, whatever. But they see it as a means to an end. They say, I want to raise up godly children. And for that to happen, I need to be able to feed a wife and give her a home. And I need to be able to feed lots of children. And to support that wife and that children, I'm going to have to work. And that's the reason for my work. I'm not working for my job. My job itself is not my motivation. My wife and my children, they are my motivation. That's what grows a society. That's what grows a nation in power and strength for generations. And in the process, you end up with millions of great doctors and lawyers and teachers and all of these other things. We need them. You get those that way. But the primary motivation is not, I want to be this lawyer. I want to be this author. I want to be this writer. I want to be this musician. Those things are wonderful. They're great, but they're a means to an end. And the more important job is the raising of that next generation of children. Because here's the thing. I don't care if you build a hospital. I don't care if you paint icons. I don't care if you build cathedrals. I don't care if you build skyscrapers. I don't care if you write books. By the time the last brick of your hospital crumbles into clay, by the time your skyscraper finally crumbles into dust and ruins, By the time the last person reads your last book and the last book that you have finally crumbles into dust and no one ever sees it again, every single one of your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren are eternal souls that will be either in heaven or hell for all eternity, far outlasting anything else you ever did. Your children are your greatest work, not your career, not your books, not your singing, not your company. All those things are great, but they're so temporary and they crumble into dust so quickly. Once you die, the chance that anybody is going to remember or even care what you did for a living is so small. But your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, they will either be a force for godliness and goodness in the world, or they will be a force for evil. And a large portion of which direction they go has to do with you right now. Now, that doesn't make it wrong to want to become a doctor or a lawyer or these things. But we need to be teaching our children, and we need to be telling ourselves what the real priorities are, what's really important, and not get sidelined and sidetracked and distracted by lesser good things.